Hi, welcome. My name is Jonathan, and this is a level 1.5 practice that will be about 60 minutes and will feature a timer with 60-second holds. So the timer is there to create a benchmark, a place of focus and attentiveness, and also to challenge you to stay in the bowspring postures maybe a little longer than you feel comfortable. In part to build some heat, to build some strength, and to ultimately build some stamina. Please take a tall seated position in hero's pose and place your fingertips to the ends of your thighs near your knees in dome hands. Straighten your arms all the way. With your gaze straight forward, close your eyes and turn inward to your breath. Make your breath fill your rib cage evenly on all sides. And with your next inhale, float your arms forward in front of you, bend your elbows out to the sides, and touch your fingertips together in globe hands. Just modifying globe hands into a position I call zipper hands. Curl the fingers into an interlace where the webbings of your hands touch each other, and as you push the webbings of your fingers into each other, feel how your biceps and the inner arms engage. Then hook your arm or your fingers around the backs of your hands, and then start to pull your elbows apart, pull your hands apart, and use that to strengthen the outside of your arms, your triceps, and broaden and widen your upper back. From this place of fullness now, open your eyes, reach your arms forward in front of you, lift your hips and touch your fingertips down in dome hands position. If you used a block like myself, just remove it and place it off to the side of your mat. From dome hands, keep your hips moving back and pull your toes to your knees so the front of your ankles lift. And then from dome, gently place your hands down to bright, and eventually becoming so light that you can lift up into dome and move back to bright. Next time that you come to bright, stay in all fours, push your arms straight and lift your rib cage high away from the floor. With the rib cage lifted, drop your belly lower down and push your knees out to the sides to feel your glute muscles engage and lift up. Now, tuck your toes under for crouching cat position. With your toes tucked, lift your knees and send your hips up and back. Open the feet as wide as your mat, and with your knees bent, tilting the sit bones high, push your arms straight. Keep the sit bones lifted and start to work the legs a little straighter from there. Press forward through the top of the head, and even pull your hands energetically towards your feet. Looking at your hands, curl the fingers so there's a bend in every joint, and you can begin to see the whites underneath your fingernails, unless you're like me and have nail polish on. Take one more deep cycle of breath. Then drop your heels to the right, turn your feet to the left for twisted cat left. Line the feet like a tightrope and then dome your left hand. Tilt your right ear towards your right shoulder. With 1 minute postures, there's no need to rush, there's no need to force or to push. Turn the knees in slightly and send your hips further back. Then push out through the left hand to get a stretch through the left side body. You're welcome at any point to breathe in and out through your mouth in this practice. And then left hand bright, lift your heels and turn your feet the other way. Dome your right hand Tilt your left ear to your shoulder. And as the knees move in to begin with, send your hips back. And as the hips go back, push forward through the right hand. Find a stretch through the outer right side body. And embrace a little pulse and movement with your breath. Inhale, move the rib cage forward. And exhale, sit your hips back. Always flowing with your breath, even though it's not a major movement. Bring your right hand right to the floor, lift your heels up, and keep your rib cage lifted as you drop your knees down to the ground. Point your toes back and sit your hips halfway towards your heels. Come onto fingertips, then move your hands over to the left, where the left hand actually comes off of the mat. Right hand might be at the edge, and tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder as you stretch out through the right side body. Embracing the side body stretch, making more space to breathe, to become more expansive in your upper torso. And then turn back to center. Keep the lift of your rib cage. Sit back, push your knees out, dome your hands, and go over the other direction. Hands to the right. Tilt your right ear to your shoulder and push forward through the left hand. As you push forward through the left hand, tack your left hip back. So it'll have a tendency to want to follow the arms. Move the left hip back to get a stretch even through the side waist. Then turn back to center, all fours position. Push your arms straight, make your rib cage light. Sit your hips back towards your right heel and open your left leg out to the side. Dome your left hand. This could be the place that you stay for the full minute because it's a challenging position to hold this long. As you sit back, lift the rib cage high, keep your left knee pulling forward, and then the option will be to lift your left hand and hold the back of your head. Hug the elbow in towards your nose and push your head back in towards your hand. Staying steady, keep your gaze on one fixed point. If you really want to challenge yourself, you could try closing your eyes. Keep your hips moving back to the right heel, staying strong. No one said this was going to be easy, especially to hold for 1 minute. Lower the left fingertips, left hand bright, and switch sides. Open leg right. Dome your right hand, sit back towards your left heel, pull your right knee forward energetically. As you pull it forward, sit back, lift your rib cage high, stay, or keep the rib cage lifted and lift your right hand, hold the back of your head. The hand holding the head creates a connection, and when there's a connection, there's an opportunity to create a charge. That charge gives you the energy, gives you the pulse, the fire and the power to hold yourself in the pose. If you're complacent, if you're just lazy and hanging out, it'd be hard to hold. So staying strong, stay committed. You're almost there. Lower your hand down, tuck your toes under, lift up, crouching cat position. In crouching cat, testing yourself all the way. Lean over towards the right hand and dome your left hand. This could be where you stay and practice pulsing your legs. Or now lift your left hand and hold the back of your head. One-armed cat. Push your head into your hand, pull your hand towards the top of your head so you move your rib cage forward at the same time as the hips move back, making your spine as long as possible, and long is curved, not straight. Lower your left hand down and then lean to the left. Dome your right hand. Push the knees out to the side. Tilt the sit bones up. Make the rib cage light. Then lift your right hand, hold the back of your head. At this point in the practice, you're starting to ask yourself, what happened to standing poses? They're coming up soon, I promise. Staying strong, building strength. To build strength, you have to tire yourself and fatigue yourself, to push yourself to a position where you don't want to do anymore, but you still can do a little bit. Know your boundaries, know your edges. Go right to the edge and maybe just step 1 foot over the edge. And lower your right hand down. Slowly step your feet forward. Separate your feet wide. And I'll use a block for forward fold in Bowspring. So knees bent, hips back, staying on the block, lifting the rib cage up and pulling the rib cage forward. Sometimes I'll even tilt the block to give myself a little leverage to pull the rib cage forward as I move the hips further back. Instead of looking straight forward, just look in the same direction as your chest and push the top of your head forward as you work the legs a little bit straighter. Finding a stretch with the strength, and it doesn't have to be too intense of a stretch. Then step the feet closer to each other, feet parallel, hip distance, bend your knees, rise up and hold opposite elbows for genie arms in chair. Sitting down low, pushing the knees forward to move the top of the thigh bones back. As you do that though, push your elbows forward and pull the elbows out into the hook of your fingers. As you do that, widen your ribs laterally, turn the knees in slightly, and move the groins down and back. Once you have the shape of the groins, push your knees up and out to recruit and strengthen the butt muscles. Notice that I'm not the deepest I could be in chair pose. I just learned that too deep is too deep, especially for 1 minute. Step your feet as wide as your mat again, and a version of twisted chair. So hinge forward, place your right elbow to the inside of the right knee, and then right palm to the inside of your left knee, and bring your left hand to your sacrum. With the knees bent, squeeze the knees into the knee and into your elbow and hand, and use that to move your hips further back, and with your left thumb, move the sacrum in and up. Keep the shoulders slightly higher than your hips as you twist, and the twist only needs to go about 1/4 of the way. So it's not even facing the left side of the room. And then from there, start to work the legs straighter, and you might have a little bit of saliva or drool fall from your mouth. Switch over to the other side. Take your left elbow to the inside of your left knee and left palm to the inside of your right knee. With the right hand, you can grab your butt and lift it up, and also ensure that the sacrum is moving in. The sacrum is usually just below the pant line, and it's a triangular shaped bone at the very base of the spine. Instead of tucking it down and rounding, move it in and up and stretch out through the top of your head. Twisting to the right, start to work your legs a little bit straighter. And then slowly rise up, balance on the right foot, and lift the left leg, hold your knee. Just basic one leg balance. And as a teacher, I still often see students lift their toes in a lot of yoga poses. And here when you're balancing, just try that momentarily. Lift your right toes away from the floor. Notice that it might make the leg feel a bit stronger, but you lose a lot of the foundational qualities that the toes offer. So curl your toes down, bend your right knee forward, and move your sacrum in and up. Lift up through the crown of your head. Bend your elbows out to the sides. Then lower your foot and switch sides. Keep your gaze forward. Balance on your left foot. Hold on to your right knee. Even here, holding the knee, you can do that zipper hand position where you interlace the fingers. Holding the knee, pull the hands away from each other, broaden through the upper back as you push the knee into the hands, and move your sacrum in and up as the hips go back. First side balance. Balance on the right foot. Lift the left foot. Lifting the left foot. Hold your knee with your right hand this time and place the left hand to the hip. Bend your right knee forward. Move the hips back. Lift up through the crown of the head and take a gentle twist over to the left. Twist in a way that remains expansive and open. To balance for 1 minute is challenging. To balance for 1 minute with your knee bent is even more demanding. Then to continue that over and over again is a true test of your will and fortitude. Then lower your foot. Turn back to center and switch. Lift your right leg. Hold your knee with your left hand. Push your knee into the hand. Move the sacrum in and up. And take a twist over towards the right. Keep the foundation of your left foot strong and solid, even amongst the wavers. The master, in terms of the physical practice, isn't necessarily the person who stays totally still, but the person who can refine center after they've lost balance the quickest. The one who can stare into a blank white wall and balance. Lower the right foot, turn back to center. Lift the left and cross your ankle over your knee. Then grab both butt cheeks and lift them up. Bend the right knee a little bit forward. Lift the left knee a little higher. And then take the hands into globe hands. Globe hands gives you the opportunity to push into each other to tone the inner arms, which can be the forearms and then the biceps. Lift your outer elbows up, allow your belly to move forward, and then once it's forward, tone and engage. Sit a little bit lower. Then uncross the left and cross the right. Re-grab your butt and just notice between the two sides, is this the good hip or the better hip? Which one is more open? Then go into zipper hands and hook the fingers around the backs of your hands and start to push your elbows out to the sides. Broaden your shoulders out to the sides. Keep your gaze forward. Sit a little lower. Lower the right foot. And then lift the left leg up and over the right. Go into Phoenix position. Make a kickstand and start in genie arms. Push the elbows out to the sides. Bend your knees deeper. Once the knees are bent deep, push your knees outwards into each other. Then either stay in genie or join your palms together and place your thumbs on top of your head. Point your elbows straight forward and lift up through the crown of your head. Lift your rib cage higher and sit your hips down and back. Then go back into genie arms and switch the cross. Balance on the left and lift your right. Make a kickstand. Bend your knee a lot and move the right foot forward so that you can push your hips further back. Press your outer knees into each other and broaden through your upper back. Uncross the right, place both hands to your knees, and with your hands to your knees, push your knees forward, and then open your left leg out to the side. Come more upright, dome your hands, push the knees forward, and send your hips further back. You're welcome to add a little bit of play. Reach your arms straight forward in front of you, and then bicycle pedal the left leg as you bend and extend the right leg. Almost like you're riding one of those children's scooters. Not those awesome scooters that you rent in Bali. Lower your left foot and switch sides. Just lift your right heel to hover. Push your foot forward, fill into the upper back, and lift your leg out to the side. Push both knees forward, lift through the crown of your head. Find a lightness, a swelling, where the hips sink down, but the rib cage lifts up. And then reach your arms straight forward in front of you and start to pedal with the right leg and bend and extend with the left. Lower the right foot, cup the back of your head, both hands, ecstasy arms position, lift the wrists, lift the elbows, lift the rib cage, but drop the hips, and then arc over to the right. As you arc to the right, push your head down into your right palm and lift up through the left side rib cage. Turn the knees in slightly to send the sit bones back and push your knees out and up. Finally, weight your right foot, lift your left leg, and open the leg out to the side, just as you did. Testing the balance, seeing if you can hold steady. And then lower your left foot down, just pulse the legs up and down a few times. And then arc over to the other side. Arcing to the left. As you tilt to the left, drop ear to shoulder, push the knees forward and lift the right side rib cage even higher. You're welcome to bend and extend the legs a little bit, or even to tick-tock out and in. Next time you lean to the left, lift your right heel, lift your right foot, and open the leg out to the side. And then lower your foot, reach your arms straight forward in front of you, weight the right foot and take a little step back with the left. Hinge forward and place your hands to your knees in a high lunge position. Push your knees forward into the resistance of your hands to send your hips further back, lifting the butt up. From that position, turn the knees in, encourage the hips to go even further back, but fill into your upper back, make your rib cage full, then push your knees out to the sides. From there, reach your arms in front of you, pull down with your hands, inhale, lift up, exhale, sit down and back. Bring your hands into globe hands, tilt forward and lift up into propeller pose. Hinging at about a 45-degree angle. You're welcome to just stay with a bent knee, pulling the left knee forward, sitting your hips back, or you can pulse your right leg. I have one student in my class who bends his knee so much that he gets his left knee, the lifted leg, to touch the floor and rises back up. I'm happy just bending it a little bit. I do what makes me happy. But he also will stand on a block and he'll bring his knee all the way down to the floor, so even lower than his foot. We all have our own unique talents and abilities. And mine, one of them, is doing a little bit less. Point your toes back. Then bring the top of the foot to the floor behind you. Sit your hips back to bring the knee all the way down. With the knee down, reach the arms forward and just find a little sway from side to side. And then hold the back of your head and arc toward the front leg side, so the right side. Lift the left side rib cage higher up away from the floor. Pull your foot back to your knee and sit your hips back. And then inhale and come up and go over to the other side. Arc towards the left. Lift the right side rib cage up. Then reach your arms forward and bring your left hand down to the floor. Little mantis position. Drop your ear to your shoulder. Lift the right side rib cage higher away from the floor. Lift your chin out of your chest. Push the right foot forward to sit the hips back, and then push both knees out to the sides. Try to lift your butt muscles up. For some, you might enjoy lifting the back knee up away from the floor as you push the feet forward and sit the hips further back. And transition into side chair. Might be useful if the hand was off the mat to bring the hand back down. Then lift your back knee, turn that foot in, and then lift the right foot. Bending both knees, bringing your feet flat to the floor. Take your left ear towards your left shoulder. Lift your chin out of your chest and then pulse using your breath. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, move forward. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, move forward. And you're welcome to lift the right leg up into the air and place your hand to your knee, pushing your knee forward into the resistance of your own hand. Then cross your ankle over your knee, lift your back heel, lower your right hand, bring your shin to the floor, point your back toes, and then lower down onto your elbows. Pushing the elbows down, lift your rib cage up. Push your knees forward and out to the sides to lift your glutes up. Try to pull the rib cage forward as you use your knees pushing forward to move the hips further back. And then slowly rise up onto your hands and keep the hips moving back. Dome hands, or lift the hands away from the floor. Globe hands or zipper hands. You're welcome, of course, to put your hands in ecstasy behind your head and even lift the back foot away from the floor. And then bring your hands down and push back to crouching cat position. Look between your hands, bring your rib cage forward, bend your knees. Now an opportunity to hop on the spot, and maybe one day hopping and holding. You can always use a wall to walk up or hop towards, but just practicing your hops. Eventually making your way into a recovery position, hands to knees. Push your knees forward and turn them in. Move your groins down and back. Then reach your arms straight forward in front of you and take a little step back with your right foot. Hinge forward again. Push the knees forward to shape the butt up, but lift the rib cage. Place the hands to the outside of the knees and push your knees out into the resistance of your hands. Then arms in front of you. Push your arms straight. Find a little lean from side to side. And then on an inhale, pull the hands down, lift up, and exhale, sit down and back. Then globe hands position. Push off your back foot, lift it into the air. Propeller pose. Pull your knee forward, bend your left leg. Embrace a little bit of a pulse, or stay fairly static and fixed. This is not an easy position. Holding, you do not get for free. Stay steady, broaden through your upper back. And 60 seconds sometimes feels like an eternity. Then pointing your toes, bring the top of your foot to the floor, bring your knee down and sit your hips back. Hold the back of your head and arc towards the front leg side, so towards the left. Inhale back up and go over to the right side. Push the feet forward, press the knees out, tilt over to the right, lift the left side rib cage. And then open the right hand down and slowly place it to the floor. Little mantis position. Tilt ear to shoulder, have the top of your head facing down, and lift up through the left side rib cage. Sit back with your hips. And an option to tuck your back toes and lift your knee up away from the floor. Pushing the knees forward, push the left foot forward. And if you're less open in your hips, you might even get an outer hip stretch in this position. And then reach, lift your chin out of your chest. Transition to side chair. Might help to bring your knee down. Move the right hand onto the mat. Then lift your back knee. Turn the heel out, and then slowly step your foot back. Stacking the feet on top of each other. Pulse the legs. And then lift the left leg, hand to knee, push the knee into the hand, and then option to cross your ankle over your knee, turn to the floor, bring your left hand down, and then slowly place your shin for falcon pose. Sit the hips back, even push the hands forward to encourage the hips to go way back, push the knees out, and then slowly, one by one, come down onto your elbows. Pull your rib cage forward. Allow your low back and your belly to dip down, but lift your rib cage up and then tone your belly strong. You're welcome to stay there, or test a little bit of the balance. Keep the hips moving back. Go dome hands, or rise up, globe, zipper, or ecstasy. I see some people in this pose being able to lean back enough that they can hold their foot over their head. I am not one of those people, but I could probably Photoshop myself doing that. And then bring your hands down, step back, and keep your rib cage lifted, but lower your knees to the floor. Open the hands slightly wider than your mat and turn the hands in a little bit. Lift your feet and come onto the base of your thigh bones. Lift your rib cage, drop your belly lower, but push your knees out to the sides. Then lower down halfway and push to rise up, and continue that, going as slow or as fast as you'd like. Of course, you can always pad your knees for extra comfort. Keep your legs as they are, but now bring your elbows down and zip up your fingers. Push the elbows down, lift the rib cage up, gaze between your forearms, and then pull your elbows towards your knees. Push your knees out to the sides. Keep your rib cage lifted and press forward through the top of your head. Then come up onto the hands, lower the feet down, tuck your toes, lift your knees, and turn the knees to the right. Bring your left hip to the floor. Move the left hand forward a little bit and dome your right hand. Seated side twist. Push down with the hands, lift your rib cage up, and turn your chest from right to left. then switch. Turn your knees to the left. Bring your right hip down. Right hand slightly forward. Such a subtle twist, but as the knees push out to the side, turn your upper body towards the front of your mat. Then slide your right arm long. Reach your arms in front, swing them up into the air, and roll onto your back. And crisscross the arms, lean to the left, and reach your right arm straighter. And then lean to the right and reach your left arm straighter. Then from there, open the hands slightly wider than your shoulders. Curl the fingers into seed and push your arms straight until you can press your rib cage into the floor. And you may not get the entirety of your rib cage just because it's barrel shaped, but attempting to make the rib cage heavy so it drops down, and the head heavy so it drops down. Now lift your feet up to the height of your knees, and 5 times tap your feet down to the floor and bring them back up. And stay up with the feet. Now push your head down and lift your rib cage up. So the only parts of the floor, or the only parts of the body touching the floor, are the back of the head and then the back of the pelvis. Staying lifted, staying strong, creating a power in your neck. Then lower your rib cage down. Keep your right leg lifted and cross your ankle over your knee. And it could be just as basic as this. You could put your hands in chin-up bar position, or even hold the outside of your right knee as a resistance as you bring the left knee closer in towards your chest. Push the right knee out to the side. And then switch legs. Right foot down and left leg lifts up. Interlace the fingers. Keep the back of your pelvis heavy and also the rib cage heavy. And as you hold the outer knee, the emphasis isn't necessarily to open the knee out as far to the side as possible, but create a barrier, a wall for your knee to press out against, and then use that to try to widen the back of your pelvis. Then uncross your left, bring your foot down, and thigh root. Extend the right leg up into the air. Curl the toes. Keep the back of your pelvis the heaviest so that the low back lifts slightly away from the ground. And then switch legs, right foot down, and extend your left leg up. And then lift both feet and hold your knees, freedom pose. Just take this time to savor how nice it feels when you're on your back to have a minute to hold the postures. With straight arms, position your knees over your hips and guide your thigh bones down into your hip sockets. And then slowly slide both legs long for assimilation pose. An opportunity to rest and relax completely. Begin to move your head from side to side. Wiggle fingers and toes. Reach your arms overhead. Reach your legs out, bend your knees. Roll over to either side and pause. And push down with your hand. Lift your way back up to this tall seated position. And finishing with globe hands. Lifting your rib cage. And then zip your globe hands together. Push out. Expand to your capacity. Go to your edge. Step a little beyond it. Namaste.